Dad log stardate 02/12/2021. Welcome back to the Dad Logs Revisited, episode number 6, where we talk about leadership and community building. Stay tuned. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're diving into episode number 6, where we talk about leadership and community building. And we're going to hit a few topics, some not so nice to talk about topics, and some wonderful topics to talk about, including things like networking, aka creating relationships with other creators without any expectations. That's a very important definition that needs to be put out there right away. We're also going to talk about creating content with other people, creating content that drives people to stay in your channel and to build that community that people want to come back to again and again and again. We're going to talk about using Discord to maintain your community. We're going to talk about showing gratitude to your community. And finally, we're going to talk about treating your community like the people they are. Let's go ahead and dive into topic number 1, which is probably the most divisive and debated topic among content creators. It's talking about networking with others. Now, the term networking, if you're not familiar with it, is one that gets tossed around a lot, and it basically says you need to connect with other creators that can help you grow. That immediately sets the precedent that you're looking to get something from the creator that you don't already have. And that would be the wrong way to go about networking with other people. I want to make sure that I'm clear. There is a benefit to networking or making friends. And the fact is that if you go into it with the right mindset, with the sole purpose of supporting their efforts in a genuine way, not with the hope that they're going to raid you someday or that you're going to steal their viewership or anything else, just creating a relationship with someone else because you genuinely enjoy the content that they create, that is immediately going to put you in a better standing with that creator and with that creator's community and with the overall community than it ever will if you're focused on networking for the purposes of growing. Now, I've said for a very long time that networking is what put me in the position that I am today, where I'm able to do this for a living as a full-time content creator. When I first joined Mixer, I made my way around to many different channels. And I struck up conversations with those creators. And those conversations generally didn't revolve around content creation. I didn't come into the channel expecting to talk about how did you get into content creation? What helped you succeed as a content creator? What do you love about content creation? Those are all great questions. And those are questions that in due time you may get to ask those creators that you are making friends with. But the fact of the matter is that if you go into a streamer's chat and the first thing you want to ask them is, how did you get to do this full time? You're probably coming in with the wrong intent. Make sure that when you approach another content creator, you're doing so because you're genuinely interested in the content that they create. And that content may be gaming related, it may be not gaming related. But the fact is that if you're coming in and you're like, okay, this guy is doing some really cool stuff, or this gal is doing some really cool stuff in their stream, right? I'd like to learn how to do it. Observe, watch, see what they do it for. Engage with them about other topics that aren't related to content creation, because you're going to find out a lot more about the person. You're going to find out a lot more about their mindset, about how they work, about why they do the things that they do. And in turn, you can then internalize some of that and say, okay, what can I do to create better content? What can I do to create a better engaging experience? You don't even necessarily have to talk to a person to get ideas about how you want to make your content better. Now, let me leave a word of caution with you. Don't take exactly what someone is doing and just retrofit it to your channel. That's going to come off as disingenuous. Make sure that whatever you do it from the perspective of you and not the perspective of them. So if you're focused on creating that engaging experience and creating community with other creators, you need to go into it with the mindset that I'm not here to gain anything, simply to support someone whose content I am very much enjoying and whose content I would aspire to want to create myself. Dr. Disrespect, whether you like him or hate him, Dr. Disrespect created a very unique aesthetic when it comes to his content. A lot of people have tried to do what he did and didn't see success because it was just a knockoff. Now, I've had people come in and be like, hey, is this the Tim the Tap Man of Mixer? Simply because of the vibe that I put off. I don't have Tim's beard, tattoos, or bald head. And that's not a diss. That's the facts of the matter. I've never tried to be Tim the Tap Man, but I do welcome the comparison because that means that I'm putting out a level of quality of content. That means that I've drawn the comparison to Tim the Tap Man. Always be yourself, unless you can be Batman. Then be Batman. And create the content that you want to create at the level that you want to create it at. Now, what does that have to do with networking? Again, going in and supporting creators is important to do without expectations. If you're going in just to rip people off or to get something out of them, that's the wrong mindset for creating a network of people who you will rely on over the course of your content creation career to support you back. There are two types of people who have come into my chat. There are those who obviously are here just to get something out of me, and there are those who are genuinely here to support. And support looks different depending on who you are. Some people financially support. Others show up every single day and at least say, hey, how's it going? How was your day? I hope you're well. Have an awesome stream. And something even as small as that makes all the difference in the world. That's someone who comes in and is genuinely interested in supporting you as a content creator and not looking to gain anything from you. Those are people who I respect. Those are people who I'm willing to shout out later because they put in the time and the effort to actually build a relationship with me based off something other than content creation. And it's so important that when you go into a networking situation, that you're going in there to make friends, not to gain something. Moving on to the next topic, let's talk about creating content with other people. This is a little bit of a tough one, usually because the barrier to create content with other people is actually getting over the nerve of asking someone to create content with you. That can be a very, very tough thing to overcome. There are still people who I would be nervous to go up to and ask, hey, you want to play games and create content together? I think would be a great fit. There are still people who I would be afraid to ask to do that. There's a few best practices when it comes to creating content with other people that I want to share with you today because I've done a fair bit of creating content with other people. There are a swath of other creators who I have spent time with. We've played games together. We create mutual content together, and we create great content together. But there are a few etiquette rules that I want to share with you today when it comes to creating content with other people. Number one, mute your microphone. Now, the more comfortable you get with someone, the less this becomes a big deal, and you kind of find a way to say, hey, thanks for the follow, or you say, hey, thanks for the sub instead of hyping it up the way you might normally do, right? In my channel, I have a hero hype scene where I pop off if someone subs because I'm super stoked that someone would financially contribute to my content creation career and to putting food on the table for my family. If I'm going to do that, I hit my mute button on Discord and then I go into that. Because what I don't want to have happen is I don't want that other creator to be weirded out by the fact that I just got a sub and they didn't, or I just got a follow and they didn't, right? So there's a way to go about, and again, the more comfortable you get with creating content with someone, if you've done it 6 to 12 times, if you've done it a dozen times where you've created content with this person, it might not, you've established a relationship where it might not be a big deal if you say, hey, thanks so-and-so for the follow, right? But if you're going to hype something up, if you're going to make a bigger deal out of it than just saying a quick thank you to someone, mute your microphone. Which brings me to point number 2. After you've muted your microphone, don't spend 15 minutes hyping up whatever just happened, because that leaves the other content creator in this weird limbo where you haven't talked to them for 15 minutes and they're like, what's going on? Are we creating content together, or are we not? Like, what's going on? So if you're going to take the time to hype something up that happened in your stream, or if you're going to take the time to spend more than the thank you for your sub, make sure that you're not doing it for more than 30 to 60 seconds. I would not spend more time hyping that up, because you don't want to put the other creator out and have them wondering what's going on here. What am I creating content with this person, or am I not creating content with this person? And the last thing that I would share with you about creating content with others is to make sure that your vibes don't clash. And what I mean by your vibes don't clash is that if you've got someone who's super mega chill and you've got someone who's super over the top hype, it can get weird, because the super over the top hype person is always going to be overbearing on the super chill person, right? You don't want to be the one who's over talking the other person. You have to have a dynamic there where it's easy for you to create a flow of back and forth dialogue that's going on with the content, to make sure that one person isn't overbearing on the other. If you've got more than 2 people, you need to make sure that the dynamic is appropriate for whatever game it is you're playing. Among Us is a great example. I watched some content from a group of content creators. They were all former Mixer content creators, and they all played Among Us together, and it worked really well. And it was like 8 people, and it was a super dynamic situation where you had hype people, you had not hype people, and then you had people who fell kind of in the middle, and they were a great go-between. And the flow of the content was actually really, really well done. So the last thing that I leave you with is that if you're going to create content with other creators, make sure that the vibes and the dynamic and the flow of the content makes sense for the game that you're playing or whatever it is you're doing, so that it doesn't become a situation where one person's way overbearing and the other person is super subdued, and then it just sounds like the other person's railroading that person's content, because that gets awkward. So make sure that when you're creating content with others, mute your microphone. Don't spend a lot of time hyping up things that happen in your stream so that you interrupt with the flow with the other creator, and make sure that you guys have flow and vibes to begin with, so that one person isn't overbearing the other. Speaking of content that drives people to stay, creating content with others can be a great way to do that. But in and of itself, you have to figure out a way to make people stay. I'll tell you one way right off the rip that doesn't make people stay. And we're going to talk about this later on, showing gratitude to your community. But if all you do to make people stay is throw money at the problem, that's not going to make people stay, because once the money runs out, those people will leave and they'll never come back. So what does it look like to drive an experience and create content that creates a situation where people will stay? Now, this is going to look different for every creator out there. I'm going to share my experiences, because that's what I've done on the podcast all along, is that I've shared the experiences and done things that have worked for me as a creator. Some of these things may work for you. Some of these things don't. So take it with a grain of salt. But here are some ideas for content that helps drive people to stay. 1, incentivizing people to stay by making sure that they know that the time that they spend in your channel is important. Now, there's a few different ways that I do this personally. 1, when you're in my channel, you earn a thing called allowance. Dad, allowance, dad. It makes sense, right? I've created a currency called allowance. You earn a certain amount of currency if you're a follower. You earn double the currency if you're a subscriber. And that currency can help you to control the stream in various different ways. you can have overlay elements that pop up. We've got our battle cry elements, we've got our dad jokes, we've got various different things that help you to be a part of the content that we create by valuing the time that you spend in my channel. So allowance and currencies are one way that you can drive user engagement and that you can drive people to want to stay, because people like to have the most currency. People like to have the most monies. Having a currency that allows people to be an interactive part of your stream is a great way to do that. Another way that I incentivize people to spend their time in the channel. Chipes, another currency that you earn. We do giveaways every hour or 2 hours. We do giveaways for these chipes. At the end of the month, you can use those chipes for tangible rewards. I give out a piece of merchandise at the end of every single month as a way of showing gratitude for the people who spent their time. It costs you nothing to earn chipes, and at the end of the month, you can put in your chipes to buy tickets for merchandise giveaways. And it's a way I show gratitude by giving you some fire merch for just the time that you've spent in the channel. So currencies and showing gratitude through giveaways funded by nothing but yourself can be a great way to do that. I caution people who do the whole $50 a stream if we hit X amount of people in the stream, or $50 that we're giving away $50 for X number of followers. I know a lot of people who have done that, and frankly, it doesn't translate to viewership, because when you stop doing those things, unless you're somehow made out of money, when you stop doing those things, those people will cease to come back. They won't come back anymore. If you're going to show gratitude by giving away money or giving away something like merchandise, you need to do it in intervals that make sense for building community and for getting people to come back. Now, that's not the only thing that are going to keep people coming back, right? Because currency gets boring eventually. Right? You have to continue to innovate around your currency if you're going to continue to drive people to come back. So what are some other things that you can do potentially to create content that drives people to stay? First off, it depends on the type of community that you're creating, but here in the Dad Cave, it's always been focused about giving people a place to belong. Again, I don't care if you're gay or straight, male or female, black, white, yellow, red. I don't care, right? As long as you're a cool person who's kind to other people and you're not an a-hole, then you're welcome in my community. And that has always been the focus about the community that we are creating and the space that we are creating here on our little corner of the internet. And so as I've built on that, the people who surround me make up that community, which really encourages people to stay. It's a welcoming, homey feel. Doesn't matter if you're brand new, where it doesn't matter how long you've been away, you're looking for a place to belong. If you come in, you will immediately feel welcome by me and by my community, and you are always welcome to stay. And so it's the engagement and the way that I interact with the people that come into the channel that usually causes them to come back time and time and time again. Now, depending on what size of channel you are, this podcast is targeted at folks that are just starting their journey or maybe are just starting to grow. You've got 5 or 10 concurrent people that come back each and every time. And so this is more focused for those folks. The more welcoming you are and the more you create that sense of relationship and that feeling of connection with another person, the more people are going to come back time and time and time again. So depending on the content that you're creating. Now, if you are a high tier, high level game player, you're a Apex Predator, or you're a diamond player in League of Legends, it may not matter as much how much interaction you provide. But I'll give you an example of someone who I think blends super high tier gameplay with that still personable aspect of being a content creator who is creating that relationship with his viewers. No, Cocoa Puffs does it better than anyone. That dude plays Apex at the highest of levels, but still finds time to thank everyone for their subs, still finds time to thank people for coming into the channel, still finds time to engage with chat in a meaningful way And the way that he is blown up on Twitch proves that creating a safe place for people to come and belong while still providing high tier gameplay is almost the perfect storm of creating an engaging user experience that people want to come back to and to experience time and time again. So you've got to find in your content, you've got to find the things that make you unique and that drive people to come back time and time again. And if you think that using money as the sole means of bringing people back time and time again, eventually you're going to spend a lot of money and you're not going to have a lot to show for it. So make sure you're doing something else to create that experience and create that content that brings people back time and time again. Part of creating that experience and driving people to come back time and time again is also connecting with them while you're not live. And there are a few different ways to do that, but what I found personally works the best, and something that was a huge focus of mine as I was growing, was creating a vibrant and dynamic Discord community. Discord is the platform that we use to connect with other people, to make sure that people are getting what they need from a sense of belonging standpoint. And it helps me stay connected to my community when I'm not streaming. This last year has been a cluster foxtrot. It has been absolutely crazy. I've had to reduce my hours significantly between Mixer going away and the move to Twitch and losing a bunch of community members in the shuffle. I managed to keep intact a pretty decent core group of people because we've got 800 people who are a part of the Discord community and who get to engage with us and see what's going on a daily basis. So using a platform like Discord gives you a way to stay connected with people even when you're not live, because out of sight, out of mind. If you're not live, they're going somewhere else to find their entertainment. So how do I stay connected with that community and drive those relationships even deeper than they would get created in a live setting? Discord is a fantastic way to do that. Now, there's a few other ways to do that. You could do it on social media. Facebook has groups, right? Which actually makes Facebook a pretty compelling platform when you think that you can do gaming live streaming. You could actually upload videos to your Facebook, and you could create a community aspect similar to Discord by using the groups function on Facebook. Facebook is an intriguing platform. It's one that I have not personally leveraged potentially to its fullest because there's a fair level of distrust with the platform as a whole, which is a topic for another day. But the point being is that there's tools out there that can allow you to really create an engaging, thriving community. And it happens both online while you're streaming and offline while you're not. Social media is another example. I've got my DMs open on just about everything. You can DM me on Discord, you can DM me on Twitter, you can DM me on Instagram. So leveraging social media can be another great way to connect with your community while you're not live, especially if you're using Twitter to create conversations. If you're using Instagram to create enthusiasm around specific things that you're passionate about. Could be anime, could be technology, could be whatever. So you can leverage Instagram to post photos of, family gatherings and outgoings, things that you're passionate about, again, anime or whatever. And you can leverage those social media platforms to really engage with your audience in a way that doesn't happen within the community and also maintains that connection between streams so that you're always on the mind of the people who are part of your community. And that will cause them to come back time and time again because they feel that connection, and that connection doesn't just happen in streams, but it happens off stream too. Driving those connections and having those connections leads into our next topic, which is about showing gratitude to your community. Now, a lot of people, myself included, use giveaways as a way to show gratitude to your community. This is something that I want to put straight up front. I struggle with. I struggle with showing truly the gratitude that I have for my community and showing it in a meaningful way. I say thank you a lot in my streams. I thank people every single time they sub, resub. I thank people for following the channel. I thank people for hosts and raids. I try and make sure that I say thank you because showing my gratitude is something that I'm not great at. Now I give away merch every single month, right? I give away a piece of merchandise every single month to people who spend their time in the channel and leverage their channel points to be a part of those giveaways. I also do giveaways with some of my partnerships. I haven't done one in a while. I probably should do one soon, but I do giveaways for partnership stuff as well. It's a way to show gratitude for the community. But there are some cool things that other creators do that I want to share with, that are things that I've desired to do but not really figured out what makes sense for me and my community right now. I know people who have smaller communities but write thank you cards and send them in the mail with a little, token of appreciation to every single sub. Anyone who subscribes to the channel will get some sort of personalized thank you card with a little token of appreciation or whatever it happens to be. And they do a little thank you. I know some people, I'll give you an example. There's a musician who writes each sub's name on an old guitar that they have. And it's a super cool way for, as a musician, to show that gratitude. Is they've got on display, behind them, they've got a guitar with all of the names of the people who have ever subbed to the channel. And that's a super cool way to recognize anyone who's ever financially contributed to the channel. So finding a way to show gratitude that's genuine is something that every creator has to find for themselves. And again, like I said, this is not something that I'm great at. I still have a ways to go in finding tangible ways to show gratitude to my community. I'm always thankful for every bit of support, whether it's your time, whether it's financial, whether it's you've got an extra headset laying around and you want to donate that as a giveaway to the community. I've had people offer Steam gift cards and Xbox gift cards and stuff like that. Super great way to show your community gratitude. But I think gratitude goes beyond just saying thank you. And it's important to find a way to do that in a meaningful and tangible way for your community. And only you, as the creator, can really define what that looks like. Showing gratitude goes hand in hand with treating your community like the people they are. And this is the last thing that I want to cover. If y'all are treating your community like numbers, that community is not going to last long. Why? Because people don't like being numbers. Anyone who's worked for a super large company or gone to a super large school, if you went to college and you went to a college that had 30 or 40,000 students on it, you went to a major university of some sort, you know what it feels like to be a number. If you've worked for a multinational corporation that had 100,000 employees or 400,000 employees in it, I've worked for companies like that, you can feel like a number. And no one wants to feel like that. No one inherently wakes up and is like, I love being a number today. I love that nobody recognizes for me for my contributions. I love that no one knows my name or knows that I even have a family. I love that I can walk through the hallways and not have anyone say hi. No one wakes up and wants that. No one wants to be treated like a number. So don't treat your community like a number. If you're constantly complaining about your concurrent viewership, if you're constantly complaining about the number of subs you have, if you're constantly complaining that no one cares, and you've got 30 or 40 people that show up every single day, how do you think that makes them feel? Now, I'm fully willing to admit that I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite here, because I look on the back end and I'm like, what happened? Why did so few people show up? Because I've been in a position where I've had hundreds or thousands of people in chat, and those days are popping, and that's the highs of being a content creator. That's the highs of the roller coaster. And you hit those low points where not many people show up. It messes with your mind, and that's hard to deal with sometimes. But overall, as a creator, you need to treat people like they're people. I always try and call people out by name. I always try and, again, be thankful for the people who support my stream with their time, who support my stream with their money, who support my stream even if they can't be there. I have a thing that I do when people retweet the going live tweet. I give them currency for retweeting the going live tweet. I have at least one or two people every single tweet that isn't in chat but is still retweeting the going live tweet, and they're showing that support even if they can't be there. And you have to keep that in mind as a content creator, is that even if someone isn't there during your stream, I wouldn't have 800 people in the Discord if I didn't have people supporting me. And even though they can't be there, they're still supporting me in other ways. And I think that's one of the hardest things to deal with as a content creator, is to realize the support that you do have, and that even though they might not be at every stream, they're still supporting you, and that they're not a number. There's actually a person behind that gamer tag that's seeking connection, that's seeking validation, that wants to be recognized for being a person and not being a number. So if you're spending all of your time complaining about your CCV, complaining about your sub number, complaining about whatever other number you can apply, whatever other metric you can apply to being a content creator, then you're missing the point of recognizing that those are people that are seeking to be entertained, that are seeking community, and that are seeking connection from you. So make sure that you're treating your community like the people they are, and not treating your community like a number. If y'all like the content today, make sure that you like, subscribe, ding the notification bell. Make sure you turn the notifications on for the next time that I upload, which is going to be next Friday for the second to last episode of the Dad Logs Revisited. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for talking about community and for being a part of it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with Be Life, Be Love. And as always, God bless and good games. We'll see you guys next time.